Let's talk about something most men will never say out loud, not because they don't care, but because they've been taught to stay quiet. They'll laugh with you, work beside you, and love you deeply. But behind all of that, they're watching not in a controlling way, but in a quiet, searching way. He won't tell you, but he's paying close attention. He's watching for something specific, something rare. And no, it's not just how you look, what you wear, or how many compliments you give. It's something much deeper, something that can make or break the connection before it even fully begins. Tonight, I want to uncover that one thing, the one silent test he gives without ever saying a word. Because once you understand what he's really watching for, you'll realize how powerful your presence truly is. He'll never say it out loud, but he's watching, and then he makes you feel your life move past one tiny, tiny step. And one silent test he gives, without ever saying a word, you'll realize how powerful your presence truly is. He'll never say it out loud, but he's watching carefully, quietly, even subconsciously. He's noticing things that you may not even realize you're doing. Most people assume men are emotionally distant or unaware of subtle cues. But in truth, many men are extremely observant, not necessarily with their words, but with their eyes and their intuition. You see, men have been conditioned in many ways to keep their emotions in check, to stay composed, to not ask for too much. But this doesn't mean they're not thinking, feeling, or assessing. Quite the opposite, he's paying attention. He's not just listening to what you say, he's watching who you are. He notices your attitude when things don't go your way. He notices how you talk about others, whether you build people up or tear them down when they're not around. He watches how you treat waiters, strangers, even animals. He observes your tone when you speak to your parents or how you behave when you're upset. He sees the small things, the way you react when plans change, the look in your eyes when someone else is getting attention, and how you treat him when he's not at his best. Most of the time, he won't comment on it. Not because it's not important, but because he's not sure yet whether it's safe to speak on it. So instead he watches. He's watching not to judge, but to understand. Men, especially those who have been through some emotional hardship or betrayal, develop a kind of radar. They become careful. They learn to pay attention to red flags, not just in what is said, but in what is done. And many times the decision of whether to fully open up or stay emotionally guarded comes down to what he sees, not in a single moment, but in a consistent pattern over time. He won't ask, "Will you respect me when I'm weak?" But he will watch how you handle it when he is. He may not say, "I need emotional safety," but he's quietly observing whether you're someone he can feel safe around. Safety to a man often doesn't look like needing to cry or vent all the time. It looks like not being shamed for his flaws, not being mocked when he's uncertain, and not being constantly compared to someone else. He's watching to see if you're someone who brings peace or pressure, calm or chaos. He may never tell you this directly, but it's always in the back of his mind. He's also silently checking to see how you handle his silence. When he's quiet, is it taken personally or respected? Do you give him space without making him feel distant? Do you ask with love or accuse with assumption? These little reactions matter more to him than grand gestures. A lot of men feel like the world demands they be strong 24/7, so when they choose to connect emotionally, they need to be sure it's with someone who won't weaponize their vulnerability later. He's watching for this because once a man opens up and is punished for it, he rarely does it again. And here's something important. He's not just watching how you treat him, he's also watching how you treat yourself. Do you respect your own boundaries? Do you speak with confidence or constantly criticize yourself? Are you kind to your own heart, or do you demand perfection from yourself and others? Men notice this too. A woman who is at peace with herself sends a strong message. She won't depend on him to complete her, but to complement her. That's powerful. And even if he doesn't consciously register it, he feels it. Think about this. You might be worried about whether he likes your hairstyle, your clothes, or your jokes. Meanwhile, he's watching how you handle pressure. He's watching how you support him when he's discouraged. He's watching whether you speak about your ex with bitterness or with closure. He's watching if you celebrate others or compete with them. All of this silently is shaping the way he sees you. Not just as a partner, but as a safe space or a red flag. It's important to know that this kind of watching isn't manipulative, it's protective. Just like women often look for signs of emotional safety, loyalty, and leadership in a man, he too is scanning for something deeper, not with suspicion, but with hope. He wants to find someone he can be himself around, someone who won't make him feel like he constantly has to perform. Someone who won't just be with him when everything's smooth, but also when he's confused, tired, or figuring things out in those quiet observations. He's asking himself one core question: can I trust her with the real me? So, while you may think the small things go unnoticed, they don't. The way you handle disappointment, the way you react to his silence, the way you talk about the people you say you love, all of that matters to him. He doesn't need you to be perfect, but he's watching to see if you're real. He's watching to see if your kindness is consistent or performative. Leaders are also cry, so why not turn love up to the world on one kindness a day? Leaders are also cry for wonder on a kindness a day. So turn kindness upon others is not superfluous. It's also curt. To be perfect is unacceptable, but love is acceptable. So be real is a non-consensual. He's watching to see if your respect is rooted in truth, not convenience. And when he sees authenticity, when he feels that your words match your actions, that's when he starts to let his guard down. Most men aren't looking for someone to save them or complete them. They're looking for someone who sees them clearly and still chooses to stay. Someone who doesn't use their mistakes against them, but walks with them while they grow. And the only way he can know that is not through big declarations, but through everyday patterns. That's why he watches, not because he doesn't trust you, but because he wants to. In the end, we all do this, don't we? We all quietly watch to see if someone's energy feels right, if their intentions match their behavior. But for men who are often taught to suppress their needs, this quiet observation becomes their primary tool of discernment. He'll never tell you what he's looking for. But if you pay attention to what he values, you'll see it's not about image, money, or perfection. It's about consistency, emotional safety, and respect. And once he finds that, once he sees that your love isn't just loud, but true, that's when he'll stop watching and start trusting. He may never say it, but the one thing he's quietly constantly watching for, more than looks, more than chemistry, more than excitement, is genuine respect. Not admiration from a distance, not flattery wrapped in sweet words, but deep, steady, soul-level respect. It's the kind that isn't always loud or obvious, but it shows up in the way you treat him, especially in the little moments when no one's watching. Most men are taught to act strong, to keep their emotions in check, and to not talk openly about their deeper needs. But that doesn't mean those needs don't exist. In fact, because they don't often speak about them, those needs are even more vital. And one of the greatest emotional needs a man has, whether he says it or not, is to feel respected by the person he chooses to love. You might think he wants to be praised for his job, his achievements, or how he looks. And while appreciation is always welcome, what he truly seeks is something more enduring. To be valued for who he is at his core, not just what he can offer. Respect to him means being trusted. It means you believe in his judgment. It means you listen when he speaks, not just nod, but truly hear him. It means that even when you disagree, you don't talk down to him. You don't belittle him, shame him, or compare him to someone else. You don't use his flaws as weapons during conflict. He watches how you handle your frustration with him. Do you roll your eyes when he makes a mistake? Do you speak about him differently when he's not in the room? Do you try to correct him in front of others to prove a point? These things may seem small, but to him they speak volumes. Men are incredibly sensitive to disrespect, especially in private relationships where they allow themselves to be vulnerable. Disrespect to a man doesn't always look like yelling or obvious criticism. Sometimes it's in the tone, the sarcasm, the passive-aggressive comments, the dismissiveness. Sometimes it's in how you take control of everything, never giving him space to lead or make decisions. Sometimes it's in how quickly you talk over him or brush off his opinions. He notices these things. He may not say anything right away. Many men don't. But with each small sign of disrespect, he pulls back a little. The three things that are small sign of disrespect. He pulls back a little emotionally, energetically, and eventually, if that pattern continues, he will disconnect. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't feel safe. See, for a man, respect is tied to emotional security. Just as many women long to feel emotionally seen and heard, men long to feel emotionally respected. That respect builds the foundation on which love, intimacy, and trust can thrive. Without it, even the strongest attraction will eventually crumble. With it, a man will open up, show his heart, and give the best version of himself to you. And this respect isn't just about the big moments. It's especially about the small ones, like how you react when he shares a dream that seems far away. Do you scoff or do you encourage him? When he talks about something he's passionate about, do you listen with interest or check your phone? When he's wrong about something, do you correct him gently or do you make it a public point? This is about relying on one another to be real. Sometimes it's hard to do that. When you rely on something, do you correct him gently or do you make it a public point? These everyday moments are where genuine respect is revealed. Respect is also tied to how you speak about him to others. When you talk to your friends, family, or on social media, do you represent him in a way that honors him? Do you celebrate his efforts even when they're imperfect? Do you defend his character when someone else mocks or criticizes him? You may not think these things matter, but to a man who is watching for consistency, they matter deeply. Another powerful way to show genuine respect is by trusting his intentions. Men are often unfairly judged by their mistakes, not their motivations. If he forgets something or makes an error, does your response assume carelessness, or do you give him the benefit of the doubt? Respect looks like giving grace when he falls short. It looks like asking, not accusing. It looks like assuming the best, not expecting the worst. Now, it's important to say showing respect doesn't mean becoming silent, submissive, or suppressing your own needs. In a healthy relationship, mutual respect is the goal. Your voice matters just as much, but it's in how you express your voice that makes the difference. You can speak truthfully and respectfully. You can stand firm in your values and remain kind. Respect isn't about agreeing all the time. It's about disagreeing with dignity. And here's something many people miss. A man will often fall harder for someone who respects his growth, not just his current state. If he feels that you believe in his potential, that you see him not just for where he is, but where he's headed, that creates a deep emotional bond. It motivates him to rise. It inspires him to protect and pour into you. It makes him want to lead, love, and support you with his full strength. But if he senses that your love is conditional, that your support only shows up when he's doing everything right, making enough money, or behaving perfectly, he'll withdraw. Because to a man, conditional love feels like disrespect. It tells him that he's only worthy if he performs. And no one, not even the strongest man, can thrive under that kind of pressure. True respect is seeing the full man, his strength and his weaknesses, and choosing to love him through it. It's not blind loyalty or ignoring red flags. It's about balance. It's about creating a space where both people feel valued, heard, and honored. In that kind of relationship, a man flourishes. He becomes softer, more expressive, more protective, more invested. Because once he knows that he is truly respected, not just as a provider or a partner, but as a person, he gives everything. And he does so not because he has to, but because he wants to. Because it has to. Because it has to. Because it has to. Because he wants to. So if you've ever wondered what he's watching for, it's this. Not just your words, not just your beauty, but whether your heart carries genuine respect. The kind that doesn't need to be begged for or demanded. The kind that's natural, consistent, and honest. That one thing, simple but rare, is what unlocks his full loyalty, love, and trust. And he may never tell you that he's watching for it. But if you give it to him sincerely, you'll see it in how he shows up for you, protects you, opens up to you, and ultimately how he loves you with everything he's got. He may laugh, joke, and appear strong on the outside, but deep down there's something he's quietly craving, something he won't admit to needing out loud. He's not just looking for someone to admire him or support him when everything is going well. He's watching deeply and silently for someone who provides emotional safety. Someone who allows him to be vulnerable without being judged, mocked, or misunderstood. Because in a world that expects men to constantly be tough, composed, and in control, finding someone who makes him feel safe to be real is rare. And that's what makes it powerful. You see, most men are raised in cultures and environments where showing emotion is seen as a weakness. They're taught to man up, be strong, and don't talk about feelings. Over time, they internalize that. They learn to process pain privately, to hold in fear, and to express emotion only through silence, withdrawal, or frustration. But just because he doesn't speak about it doesn't mean he doesn't feel it. In fact, men often feel everything. They just become experts at hiding it. So, when a man begins to care about someone, when he begins to consider a real emotional bond, the stakes get higher. He's not just looking for beauty, intelligence, or charm. He's watching for something deeper. Can he let his guard down around you? Can he be unsure without being called weak? Can he speak his truth without it being thrown back at him later? Can he tell you he's scared, stressed, or tired and know that you won't love him less because of it? He might not say any of this directly. He might still keep that steady face, that joking tone, but behind all of it, there's a quiet scan happening. He's noticing how you respond when he's not performing, when he's tired, discouraged, or emotionally unavailable. He watches your reactions when he pulls away for a moment to gather himself. Do you panic and accuse? Do you make it about yourself? Or do you give him space with love, not pressure? Emotional safety for a man isn't about coddling or giving him a free pass to act however he wants. It's about creating an environment where honesty is safe, where his emotions, however rare or quiet, are not only allowed but welcomed. It means you don't mock his struggles or compare him to others. You don't use his vulnerable confessions against him in the next argument. You don't minimize his pain by saying it's not that bad or other people have it worse. You listen without fixing. You support without controlling. And here's the truth, he may not even know that emotional safety is what he needs. Many men don't have the words for it, they just know they feel tense, guarded, or uncomfortable around certain people and peaceful around others. It's the peace he's chasing, not drama, not intensity, not constant emotional highs and lows. Peace, consistency, and then a lack of trust, a space where he doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. Now, you might ask, but isn't emotional safety something everyone needs? Yes, absolutely. But for men, it's a unique kind of struggle because of how society has shaped their emotional identities. When women express their emotions, they're often seen as sensitive or emotional. When men do the same, they're often seen as unstable, weak, or dramatic. That double standard makes many men emotionally cautious. They've been hurt before, dismissed, or ridiculed. And now they hesitate. That's why when he finds someone who doesn't push him to open up, but simply creates space where he can, it's life-changing. When you offer emotional safety, you become a shelter, not by fixing him, but by letting him exist as he is. You give him room to breathe, and that's when he starts to slowly reveal his real self. Not the version he shows to the world, but the part of him that wonders if he's good enough, that fears failure, that dreams big, and sometimes doubts those dreams. When you're able to hold space for that side of him without recoiling or rejecting him, that's when the relationship begins to deepen. It's in those quiet, subtle moments that emotional safety is built. When he shares a bad day and you don't tell him what he should have done better, but instead say, "That sounds tough. I'm here." When he's overwhelmed and instead of saying, "You never talk to me when you're ready." When he confesses a mistake and you choose understanding over punishment. Men don't need a partner who will always agree with them. They don't need someone who idolizes them either. What they need is someone who accepts their humanity, flaws, confusion, doubts, all of it. Someone who won't use their softer moments to gain control or to prove a point. Because once a man feels like his emotions are a liability in the relationship, he'll stop sharing them altogether. And when that happens, intimacy fades. Emotional safety also looks like predictability in your own behavior. If your reactions are unpredictable, if one moment you're kind and the next moment explosive, he'll start walking on eggshells. He'll start calculating what to say, how to say it, when to say it. And that kills openness. Safety means consistency. It means being able to trust that even when things get hard, you're not going to attack, abandon, or belittle him. And that doesn't mean you never get emotional or upset. It means you handle your emotions in a way that makes room for his too. It means you both learn to be soft together. And that, ironically, is what brings out his strength. When a man feels emotionally safe, he becomes more open, more protective, more engaged. He stops playing it cool and starts investing. He shows affection, not just physically, but emotionally. He steps up not out of fear or obligation, but out of genuine connection. And if you think this sounds too good to be true, think about this. Every person, no matter how strong, needs a place where they can rest emotionally. A man might be a leader at work, a provider for his family, a fighter through life's challenges. But when he comes home to you, he wants to feel like he can exhale, like he can put down his armor for a while and still be loved. That's what emotional safety gives him, and that's what he's watching for, even if he doesn't have the words for it. So, while you may think he's quiet, detached, or emotionally guarded, understand this. He's not distant because he doesn't care. He's just watching, waiting, wondering, is it safe to show the real me here? And when the answer becomes yes, you'll witness something rare. A man who lets go of his fear and chooses to love fully, freely, and fearlessly. And not because he had to, but because you gave him a place where he finally could. He might never say it directly, and he might not even be consciously aware of it. But one thing he's always observing is whether or not you believe in him. Not just when things are going well, but especially when he's struggling, doubting himself, or trying to build something meaningful. Deep down, he's looking for someone who genuinely sees the potential in him. Someone who doesn't just notice who he is now, but who believes in the man he's becoming. That belief, when offered sincerely, is not just encouraging, it's transformative. It's the silent power that pushes him to rise, to lead, to give, to love more than any words of affirmation or praise ever could. The world often places a heavy weight on a man's shoulders, the pressure to succeed, to provide, to protect, to perform. And while many men carry that pressure without complaint, it doesn't mean they don't feel the burden. In fact, most of them live with a quiet fear of not measuring up. They wonder if they're doing enough, being enough, achieving enough. They compare themselves not just to others, but to the version of themselves they wish they could be. And in that space of silent insecurity, he's watching for something. Does the person closest to him truly believe in him? Belief doesn't mean blind optimism. It doesn't mean pretending he has no flaws or always gets everything right. Belief is rooted in seeing both his imperfections and his intentions and choosing to stand by him anyway. It's about offering encouragement when he's doubting himself, not because he's perfect, but because you recognize his heart, his drive, and his willingness to keep growing. That kind of belief gives him fuel, especially in the moments he's too tired to find it within himself. A man will always be drawn to someone who brings peace. Yes, but he will anchor himself to someone who brings belief. Why? Because belief is action. It shows up in how you talk about his dreams and how you support his goals and how you respond to his failures. Do you roll your eyes when he shares a new idea? Or do you listen like it matters? Do you remind him of what he's capable of? Or do you bring up his past shortcomings? These small moments, the ones that seem routine, are often the ones where your belief or lack of it is felt most. Think about when he hits a wall professionally, personally, emotionally. Maybe things aren't working the way he hoped. Maybe he feels lost. In that moment, what you say and how you say it either plants a seed of confidence or deepens his doubt. If you respond with, "You'll figure it out, I know you," that might sound simple, but to him, it's life-giving. It tells him, even if I've forgotten who I am for a moment, she hasn't. That's the power of belief. It holds a mirror to his strength when all he can see are his weaknesses. It's easy to support someone when things are going right, but he's watching how you react when things go wrong. Do you stand beside him or step away? Do you speak to him with hope or with resentment? Do you see his failure as temporary or as confirmation that he's never going to get it right? These are the moments that determine how safe he feels to keep trying. And believe this, men notice everything. Even if he doesn't say a word, he sees when you light up about his wins and withdraw during his losses. That withdrawal cuts deeper than any argument ever could. There's another side to belief that people don't often talk about: empowering his leadership. This doesn't mean submitting blindly or never having your own voice. It means making space for him to lead in his own way at his own pace. It means asking for his input, trusting his judgment, and letting him take initiative in the relationship or in life. When you believe in a man, you give him the space to show up for you. You don't constantly take over. You don't undermine his decisions. You trust that he's capable even when he's learning. That trust doesn't just serve him, it serves the relationship. Because when a man feels trusted and believed in, he becomes better. He steps into his role with more confidence. He becomes more protective, more present, more generous. He becomes a provider, not just in material ways, but in emotional ones. But when he feels constantly doubted, questioned, or micromanaged, it chips away at his confidence and with it the drive to give more. Some women say, well, I'll believe in him when he proves himself. But real connection often works the other way around. A man proves himself because someone believed in him when few others did. If you wait to offer belief until he becomes successful or impressive, your faith becomes conditional, and conditional belief doesn't move a man, it merely monitors him. But unconditional belief that makes him feel seen. It tells him he's enough, not only for what he accomplishes, but for who he's becoming. Belief also shows up in how you handle his imperfections. No man, no human is flawless. He'll make mistakes. He'll have rough days. He'll say the wrong thing, forget something important, or let his stress spill over into the relationship. When that happens, do you respond with harsh judgment or with grace? Belief doesn't ignore the truth, but it doesn't let one moment define the whole person. It says, I see who you are even when you fall short. Which is, I think, a better I know this isn't the whole story, and here's something many people miss. Belief doesn't always require big, loud gestures. Sometimes it's in the way you look at him when he's talking about something he cares about. It's in the patience you give when he's working through something difficult. It's in the way you don't give up on him, even when he's tempted to give up on himself. That kind of belief becomes a foundation. It makes you unforgettable, not because you fixed him, but because you reminded him who he